All right, Shalom Israel. This is the Wednesday law class. Also remember, check out Commanding General Yohana's radio show, which is 2 a.m. UK time. There's also one on Saturday, 2 a.m. We have classes here Monday through Friday. So we'll have classes live in Birmingham, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. till 9. We have an online class Tuesday from Manchester, 7 p.m. till 9. The last one, Kodash, Friday, 7 p.m. till 9. And today we're going to quickly go in, before we get into the class, we're going to go over Isaiah chapter 58 real quick. We're probably just going to go over 3-4 verses in it. As you know, it's the Day of Atonement. For us in the UK, it's coming to an end. It might have come to an end. I ain't seen that side yet, but it's almost completely pitch black for us outside. So we've done a 24-hour fast from yesterday. Obviously, brother's been hungry and whatnot. So it's almost complete. If it is not complete by now, hold on, I just need to check out, so I'll give it 2 minutes. But let's start from the book of Isaiah, chapter 58 and verse 2. Hold on. Verse 3 actually says, "Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not?" So there says we fasted and the Lord don't see it. There's a reason why the Lord didn't see their fast. Why? Because they was fasting for strife. They was fasting so they can act over righteous. So they can say things like, "I've fasted and you haven't." So they can say things like, "I fast this much times a year. I fast 3 days in a row and you do none of that." That's what they was doing. They was doing things like that. They was fasting for strife. Now, when you're doing these things to be seen of men, then of course the Lord's not going to honor it, man. Because you ain't doing this to give the Lord glory. You're doing this so you get glory from man. So man can be like him. He fasts 5 times a year, man. He fasts 2 days in a row. And that's why the fast that we done, nobody was even supposed to know you fasting. You ain't supposed to be going on the internet crying for the world to know. Hold on, give me 1 second. Yeah, the sun down. Yeah, so what you would have, people's fasting so they can go glow, they can go brag. They was fasting for strife. They weren't fasting because, they wanted to honor the Lord. Whereas we do this, why? Because the Lord told us to do it. We don't do this so we can brag in front of everyone and be like, "I'm fasting. I'm fasting." We don't do that, but let's read on. It says, "Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge?" Now, afflicting your soul is what? No food and no drink. And you can tell you're afflicting your soul when every time you just think, "Yo, let me get a drink," and then you realize, "Oh, I can't." And you feel them hunger pains, and everything you're doing, you're feeling them hunger pains, and you're looking at the clock and you're getting more hungry and more hungry, and them hunger pains is kicking in, and you feel like you can't function. Listen, man, that's you afflicting your soul. Now you can go about your day. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so you can go about your day-to-day activities. You can go about your day-to-day activities, but the whole thing is no food and no drink. That's the whole thing. And UK, give yourself a hand, man. Because listen, that shit's been rough, man. Imagine that from yesterday. Yesterday, man, I realized before it started, as it started, I realized, damn, I didn't drink enough water. I realized, damn, I gotta wait 24 hours to have some water. I still ain't touched no water yet. Hold on, let's read on. So it says, wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of your fast, ye find pleasure and exact all your labors. So in the day of their fast, they was exacting all their labors and finding pleasures. Whereas what? On the day of atonement, what are you supposed to do? Nowhere. This here is talking to employers, man. They know nobody's not supposed to work on the day of atonement. But what are they doing? Exacting labors and all of their pleasures. They're doing what they would rather do other than what the Lord wants them to do, man. The Lord wants them to do what? Close down your businesses for the day. Give your employees a day off. Allow them to keep the feast of the Lord. But the employers didn't want to do that. And that's why the Lord ain't honoring nothing they do. Let's read on. Then it goes further. It says, behold, ye fast for strife and debate. So they fast for strife and debate so they can argue and say, I fast more than you. I fast more than you. I fast for 10 days a year. I fast 3 days in a row. I fast more hours than you. So that's what they was doing it for. They weren't doing it why? Because they wanted to do it. They just wanted to do it for strife and debate. So they can look more righteous than everybody else. Let's read on. And to smite with the fist of wickedness, ye shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. Just look at your eye straight arrow. You mean this piece here? This piece. Behold, ye fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of wickedness, ye shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. And people was doing this so their voice could be heard on high. They was doing this. Hold on, it's not straight. Give me 1 second. So they was doing this so their voice could be heard on high, so they can go gloating, they can go bragging. I fast more than you. I do this more than you. I do that more than you. The Lord didn't want that type of fast. Hold on, let me get my next precept in Matthew. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. All right, so now let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 18. Hold on 1 second. So in the book of Matthew chapter 6 and verse 18. Matthew 6. So the book of Matthew chapter 6 and verse 18, that it says verse 16 says, moreover, when you fast, be not as the hypocrites of a sad countenance. This is the Muslims, man. They have a sad countenance when they fast. You see, when they fast, listen, years ago, where the Muslims used to come to it, I can't do this because I'm fasting. I can't do this because I'm fasting. And I need to go to the toilet. I can't swallow my spit because I'm fasting. Fasting don't mean you can't swallow your spit, man. Right. Fasting is talking about eating and drinking. It's so simple. They believe they have to spit every and spreading TB all over the place, man, spitting everywhere. Listen, man, fasting is talking about food and drink. They don't brush their teeth. You can brush your teeth, man. It says, moreover, when you fast, being as the hypocrites of a sad countenance, for they disfigure their faces, that they may appear unto men to fast. So they let it be known the fasting, they walk around, hold their stomach or bend over like this, so everybody knows the fasting. Whereas in here, man, what you do is you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you put oil on your face, and you go and do your daily activities that you need to do, man. And nobody needs to know you're fasting. Nobody needs to know you're fasting. You keep that between you and the Most High, man. Obviously, in here, we all know you're fasting. Why? Because we all celebrating the Day of Atonement. But outside of us, nobody else needs to know. You don't need to post it all over your social media, I'm fasting, unless you want to shed light on the Day of Atonement. But obviously, and if you're fasting for personal reasons in a different time, nobody really needs to know. What's going on with the...
I'm getting Can we breakfast now?
Check outside, Shamba. What's it looking like outside?
Gone. It's gone.
What's it looking like outside? It's looking all right.
It says 7:15.
All right, the sun's gone down. There's nothing dying for some food. Give me 2 minutes. Let me just enjoy this water real quick. I'm telling you, that was rough. Let me just have some more. That was rough. Where was we?
Matthew, verse 16, isn't it?
Yeah, verse 16.
All right. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves, but ye therefore.
No, I think it was in Matthew 7 and...
7.
Was it 7? Hold on, where was it? The fasting one, where was we?
No, it was 6 and...
6 and 17.
Verse 17. But thou, when thou fastest, anoint thine head.
See, it says, when you fast, anoint your head. Listen, give the UK a hand, man. You finished all them. There's all that, man. Now you're free. Listen, really, the sun probably went down about 10 minutes ago, right? About 10, 15 minutes ago. But now, listen, man. You can go and eat now. Guess what? You was lying in bed, holding your stomach, crying. It's over now, man. Listen, it's over now. You was lying down, crying, and all of those kind of things. It's okay. I beg you, pass one of those. One of that. We might have to share this up properly. Yeah. We got Shamgar in the school. We got Ariel in the school. Listen, man. You know about these fried dumplings. Listen, man. Listen. We opening ours, man. We got one more time. So okay.
But thou, when thou fastest, anoint thine head and wash thy face.
When you fast, one more for welcome. How much hours it been?
24.
We ain't eating like 24, 25 hours. Take some. You know.
Verse 18, that thou appear not unto men to fast.
That you appear not unto men to fast, man. Listen, don't let the world know. But you letting the world know you ain't doing the thing right, man.
Right.
You're doing it incorrect. You're fasting for the world to see. In here when we fast, guess what? Nobody knows, man. Nobody knows. If I was fasting in here, in my personal time, other than the Day of Atonement, nobody would know. I'll come to class, you'd offer me a plate of food, I'd be like arm to arm. That's it. People be going to their job that in the whole world know the fasting.
Yeah.
Nah, man, you don't need to do that. Go ahead.
But unto thy Father, which is in secret.
There you go, man. But do it to the Most High in secret. Go ahead.
And thy Father, which seeth in secret, shall reward thee openly.
And the Most High sees in secret. If you're truly doing it for the Most High, you don't care that nobody else knows you're fasting. Because it's not them you're trying to convince. It's the Lord you're trying to convince. So you wouldn't care But when you're trying to convince the Lord, you're trying to convince man. So you let the whole world know. You let the whole world know you're fasting, which is the wrong thing to do. Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 19. Lay not up for yourself treasures upon the earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt.
Alright, let's go into something else. Let me go into my topic now. Give me Let me get the book of Jude, chapter 1 and verse 3. You see, every year after they have atonement when they eat, I'd be like, I could have went for a few more hours. Really dumb. Really, this one. How did you find this one, Ruffle?
No, I'm sorry, no.
Yeah, I think this one. I think it gets easier each year. I think each year, I think it's the last hour. The last hour, that's what it is. Because I was alright for the whole day. The secret is have couple naps in between. So you gotta do have couple naps. Have you noticed you have a nap and you don't wake up hungry? Have a nap, you don't wake up hungry. Jude is right before Revelations.
Jude chapter, what's the verse?
Jude chapter 1 and verse 3.
Verse 3. Beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation, it was needful for me to write unto you and exhort you.
Was it you needed? You need anything?
Ye that you should earnestly contend for the faith.
And you should earnestly contend for the faith, man. That's what we do in here. We contend for the faith. We contend for the faith. Yeah, so we contend for the faith, man. And that's how we keep this school pure, by contending for the faith. We don't twist it, we don't change it, we don't bend it. We earnestly contend for the faith.
Right.
And that's what you're supposed to do being in here, man. If you're in here and a brother and sister's not behaving as correct, it's your job to make sure they behave correct, man. We contend for the faith. People come up against us. Oh, what you lot believe is garbage, is nonsense. The Bible don't say that. It's the 21st century now. And the Bible's talking, that was back then, that's an old Bible. We contend for the faith, man. And this is why people say to us, our user are old-fashioned. People tell us we're old-fashioned and all of them things. Because we contend for the faith earnestly, man. The same thing that Jude was writing. It's the same things we do and the same things we follow. Go ahead.
Contend for the faith, which was once delivered unto the saints. Verse 4.
Now, this truth was once delivered unto the saints, man. Imagine this. This thing that we have right now, the same thing that Christ had, same thing that Paul had, same thing that Peter and all of them had. They all had this, man. So how dare we give up this, man? We need to contend for this faith. Why? Because we can't allow this to be watered down. We can't allow this thing that we have to be whitewashed and watered down, man.
Right.
Why? Because Christ had the same thing we have. Peter had the same thing we have. And this right here is precious, man. This is holy and precious. And we must fight and contend for it. Because if we don't fight and contend for it, what's going to happen? It's going to come to nothing, man.
That's right.
The Lord's going to be like, you know what? What you had was holy and you ain't dealing with it right. Maybe I'll just give it to somebody else, man. We must contend for this, what we have right here. And we must keep this place clean and pure. Go ahead.
Verse 4. For there are certain men crept in unawares.
What?
There are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained.
And there's certain people that creep in unawares, man. And their thing is to destroy and not build, man.
Right.
They creep in unawares, and their thing is to destroy. And if we contend for the faith, guess what happens? They will be up out of here, man. They will stay for a bit, and they will be up out of here. the creeping unawares and start trying to get you to change things, man, that have been of old. Things that you had from the beginning, they start trying to get you to change things. One day they'll be like, oh, because you see UPK, some men teach a bit like this and it shouldn't be like that. I don't think we should teach that. I don't think we should do this. You think, yeah, they're coming to you and it sounds good. Nah, man, they've crept in unawares, man. They've crept in unawares, and it's your job to spot who's crept in unaware.
Right.
It's your job to spot that, man. And we spot it in here, and guess what? You ain't gonna last too long in here, man. This place is holy. Go ahead.
Who were before of old ordained to this condemnation.
Who was ordained of old to this condemnation, meaning what? These same man that's trying to creep in unawares, guess what? In their last life, they're trying to do the same thing.
Right.
The life before that, they're trying to do the same thing. The time of Christ was trying to do the same thing. These people is the same spirits of these people of old
Right.
that keep coming back, trying to tear down what's been built, trying to destroy what's been built.
Right.
Oh, go ahead.
Ungodly men.
What are they?
Ungodly men.
That's the first sign to let you know, man. Ungodly men. People who is against God, who hates God's law, statutes, and commandments. If you're locked all the way in and focused, you can tell, man.
Right.
You can tell, you can look and be like, something ain't right. They had the same thing back in their day, man. Men had crept in unawares. So when you see people come in the truth and leave the truth, don't be surprised, man. It happens.
Right.
People come in, they're creeping, shalom, one west, no excuses, no cowards, and then they're gone the next minute, man.
Right.
They're gone the next minute. They creeping unawares, and the next minute they're gone. Don't fall for it, man. Don't fall for it. Go ahead. I mean, imagine one day it was one west till they buried me, and you're not buried, but you're no longer saying one west. You're no longer in the truth, but then there's videos that we have of you saying one west till they bury me.
Right.
That means you lied, man. Why should anyone listen to you or trust you? That means you lied. Go ahead.
Turning the grace of our power into lasciviousness.
Listen, man. They turn the mercy of the Lord into seriousness, man. Go ahead.
And denying the only most high power of our power.
And listen, man. When you come here and you leave the truth, you're denying the Lord, man. You're denying the power of the Lord. What you're basically saying is, yeah, there's no God, he don't exist. Imagine that. This is the only hope for black people. Imagine this is the only hope for black people. And you leave this. What chance do you have, man? Zero. And then you teach other black people, don't go and join the Israelites because blah, 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 blah. Listen, man, you hate God, man.
Right.
And the Lord is going to remove you out of the way for that. Go ahead.
Denying the only most high power of all other one, Yahweh Shai Mashiach.
And you deny Christ. Listen, man. Don't think that you leave here, don't think that you leave here and the Lord's still with you.
Right.
It doesn't work like that, man. The Bible says what you bind on heaven, what you bind on earth is bound in heaven, what you loose on earth is loosed in heaven.
That's right.
And if you leave here, the Lord is no longer with you, man. The Lord was with you because you wasn't here, man. Now, if you leave the truth, guess what happens? The Lord ain't with you. He doesn't know, I was in the truth one day and I've left the truth now and the Lord's still with me. I'm going to go sit on my own organization. I'm going to go sit on my own thing. Don't work like that, man.
Right.
I mean, at one stage, you were saying you was in here and the Lord was with you when you wasn't here. Now you're saying you're out there and the Lord's with you when you're out there. It don't work two ways. It don't work both ways, man.
Right.
It don't work both ways. The Lord, listen, man, you better stay here if you want the Lord to be with you, man. And we need to get right and get ourselves together. You know why? Because every so often, what you find is the Lord cleans his house out, man. Every so often, the Lord cleans out his house. I've seen it a few times, man. Every so often, there's a wave of people, and the Lord cleans out his house. You could call it harvest, where he takes all the tares and throws them in the fire, man. You could call it harvest, man. Listen, you can precept it. This precept, men crept in unawares. You can precept this with someone sowing a wicked seed, the wheat and the tares, man.
Yeah.
They both grow together. At the time of harvest, what happens? The tares don't stay, man. They get thrown into the fire. These men that crept in unawares, they get thrown into the fire, man. You have some fake Israelites breaking down that parable, as to say, is talking about heathens. No. Ain't talking about that, man.
Right.
Ain't talking about that. It's more talking about men that crept in unawares, faking like the down when really they're not down, man. Faking like the one west when really they're not one west. One west till they bury me. Listen, man, I hear that all the time. And then I see on Facebook you coming up against the school. I see you coming up against the school. Why? Because you're mad about nothing, man.
Right.
Telling lies on the school. Whereas in here we got issues. Matthew 18:15, man.
Right.
I mean it works. It works, but people don't want to apply that. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And I will therefore put you in remembrance, though ye once knew this, how that the Most High, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not.
Afterward destroyed them. Listen, the Lord saved them out of Egypt and then destroyed the ones that didn't believe, man. Listen, you come in here and if you don't believe and you leave the truth, it's a matter of time before the Lord destroyed you, man. I'm sure half the people in Egypt thought the Lord was with them. There was plenty of people that thought that. They thought the Lord was with them and we don't need Moses. We're going to do things our own way. We don't need Moses for nothing. That's what they thought. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And the angels which kept not, and the angels which kept not their first estate.
It says, and the angels which kept not their first estate. Now people read this and think this is talking about fallen angels. What you'll understand is, if you read the backdrop, it's talking about men that crept in unawares and how the Lord destroyed the Israelites that he took out of Egypt that didn't believe. Right. And then now he's going on to say those that didn't keep their first estate, meaning what? From the time of Adam, them men didn't keep their first estate, man. They stopped following the Lord and started doing their own thing. Right. That's what he's talking about. They didn't keep their first estate. Their first estate, they knew what they had to do, and they left that first estate to go and find something else. Like today, we leave our first estate to go and find something else. Yeah. And they was called angels that left their first estate. Go ahead.
But left their own habitation.
And left their what?
And left their own habitation.
And they left their own habitations, man. The Lord set them up and said, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. They wanted to leave their first estate and their own habitations to go and be somebody else, man. To go and join somebody else, to go and follow somebody else. They left off everything. Go ahead.
He have reserved in everlasting chains.
And there's some people who just won't ever get the truth.
Right.
There's some people you're breaking it down to, they won't ever understand it. You know why? Because the Lord's got them in everlasting chains of darkness, man. Because he don't want them to get the truth. Some of these people, what you got to realize is they left their first estate and the Lord's reserving them to the day of judgment.
Right.
Not everybody is going to get the truth, man. Not everybody is going to understand it, because some people have to be reserved to the day of judgment. So they're in everlasting chains. Most of these lunatics you see, man, they're in everlasting chains. Go ahead. Also, any questions, just type them in. Other than Mousecat asking silly questions, what did it ask? Can I join your Black Panther gang, mister, please? Just, Mousecat, just grow up, man. Grow up for once in your life, man. Try and be an adult for once in your life.
Right.
You go and join the KKK, man. Or the EDR, what they call the EDR. Go and join Tommy Robinson. Go sit in a Tommy Robinson class and you go and join the EDR, man. You'll fit in there. You'll fit in there. Or actually, you know what? There's another group like the EDL and KKK. It's called the GOCC. Right. Actually, you know what? The GOCC is more KKK than the KKK.
Right.
So you'll fit in there. Just go on the internet, type in GOCC. They will accept you. Don't worry, you'll find a home there. Go ahead.
on the darkness, unto the judgment of the great day.
Unto the judgment of the great day. And that great day is when the Lord's going to come deal with you, man. That great day is when the Lord is coming to deal with you. Oh shit, is that the food? Oh shit, is that the food? Give the food a hand, man. Thank the Lord for food, man. Listen, man.
You know, trying to con us a million.
Serious.
You're trying something, man.
Listen, man. Hold on, give me a. What's in here?
We owe him 9.
Yeah, don't worry, give me that. Oh shit. Give me 1 second.
Ariel.
Let me pull up one of these boys. Hold on.
What's that? What the
Give me 1 second. Let me pull up more.
Everybody should be taking 3 out of there.
No, there should be more than give us 20.
Yeah. You ain't gonna eat more than 3 dumpling right now, are you?
Hold on, we're doing. Listen, listen. Let me just share this screen while I eat my food. Let's look at, hold on. Get me look at this. Look at this. Can you can't see the picture on the screen, can you? Listen, this is how I was feeling, man. Look at this. Can you see it there? This is how I was feeling, man. I was feeling like the Africans with the big belly, man. I was feeling like the Africans with the big belly. Listen, man. Let me just let that picture sit there for 1 minute. Listen, man. Thank the Lord for food, man. So I can give me 1 minute. Look at them, how much is the big belly, man? And they ain't doing no damn atonement. They're just being punished for what? How they treat the children of Israel, man. Also, the white man robbing them blind. Look at that big belly and that African full of air, man. Ain't no food in there. That belly's full of air, man. That belly's just full of air, so luckily let me just eat this chicken real quick. I'm coming back. Listen, man. Them Hamites can't do this, man. This jerk chicken's good, man. We don't let Africans in here. You can't have none of this, man. This jerk chicken's for us, boy.
They eat the mosquitoes, man.
They can have a mosquito burger, man. They can have.
This ain't large, man. Look at the mutton, man.
You Africans over there got no clean water. We got both it, man. We don't love Africans in here, man. The Africans got £2 for clean water. There you go. Where was we?
Jude,
Jude what?
7.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
Dumplings are nice, though.
Do what?
Dumplings.
Yeah, that's the best thing to do, don't you? Alright, we can drop that now. We can go to the book of Matthew. God, it sounds like you ate the water. You didn't even drink the water, man. You ate the water. Yo. What did you drink the water? What juice you got down there?
Was it me?
It wasn't me. What juice you got down there?
No juice on
Oh.
it. Wasn't me.
It wasn't me. In the book of, what's the button saying quite a lot?
Would you know?
Is it? Ariella, what's the button saying? You know what that means, isn't it, Ariella?
I got box here, right here. I'll show you.
Nah, I don't want to I'm joking. I kind of gone off mutton in the last couple.
Yeah, me too.
Kind of gone off it. Alright, in the book of Matthew, chapter 22 and 1. And Yahushua answered. So I can say that.
I was gonna read.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
The book of Matthew, chapter 22, verse 1. And Jesus answered and spake unto them again by parables and said, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his
So
son.
let's give them a parable. He's saying the kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king that made a marriage for his son. Go ahead.
Come.
And sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come.
So now, was people invited to the wedding, man? He went to call them and they would not come. You know the people he was invited to this wedding? The Pharisees, man. Go ahead, isn't it?
I can't understand what you said.
Oh, so I could give me So the people invited to the wedding was the Pharisees and the scribes and the Sadducees, your religious leaders, but they wouldn't come to the wedding. When Christ came, they was meant to accept Christ and be like, you know what? We should follow this man. They didn't do that. All right, go ahead.
Can't.
Again, he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them which are bidden, behold, I prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come unto the
All
marriage.
things are ready, man. And this is what we do. When we go on the streets, what do? We go out and we say, the kingdom of heaven is at hand, man. We say the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Right here saying, yo, he's preparing a marriage for his son. Nobody wanted to come. We outside inviting people to this wedding, man. We outside inviting people to this marriage. Why do you think we at camp doing all of these things? We inviting brothers and sisters to this marriage, man. And some want to come, some don't. The ones who don't want to come, once upon a time, Noah was inviting them, man. Look, man, change your life, do this. Building the ark was a preacher of righteousness, it called him. Nobody wanted to listen to Noah. Guess what happened? The flood came, man. The flood came and took them all away. And this marriage right here that we preparing, well, that the Most High is using us as a vessel to bring the people in. If they don't want to come in, guess what? We're going to be living it up in that wedding, man.
Right.
And they're going to be outside that wedding, screaming and dying, wishing they could come in, wishing they could. Listen, man, if you're in here, don't waste the opportunity. You see, if you're in here, you make the most of it, man. What you do, you multiply that penny, man. Because guess what? What your eyes have been open to, 70% of people's eyes is probably never going to be open to it, man.
Right.
70% of people can't understand what you're talking about, but you can. There's a reason why the Lord wants you to understand it. And imagine this, the Lord wants you to understand it and you're doing nothing with it. You're wasting your time, man. If that's the case, you're better off just being outside of this with the people who don't understand it.
Right.
The people who don't understand it, they deserve more mercy than you do. Because you had an opportunity, you understood it and done nothing with it, whereas they didn't understand it. Read on.
Can't.
But they made light of it.
They made light of it. Made a mockery and all of those kind of things. They made light of it. Go ahead.
One to his farm.
So now, instead of coming and serving the Lord, what happened? One went to his farm, man. Meaning what? They would rather do everything else other than serve the Lord. They would rather do everything else One went to his farm, meaning what? His money and his job was more important than serving the Lord. What he had was more important than him serving the Lord. Go ahead.
One to his merchandise.
Another to his merchandise. His merchandise was more important than him serving the Lord. I can't go to that wedding. It's going to take up too much time, man. I got a lot going on for me out here. I got my rap career going on. I got this going on. I got that going on. So they was doing their own thing. After the servants was inviting them to the wedding. Go ahead.
And the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them.
And the remnant of the people took these servants and slew them, man. The remnant took these servants and slew them. And this is why in here we stick together, man.
Right.
Why? Because everybody wants to kill us. Everybody wants to kill us, man. And this is why we stick together. So we can defend one another. So we can have one another's back, man. Listen, man, I hear it all the time. I'll die for you, I'll die. Listen, man, instead of telling me you're going to die for me, come to camp and prove that you're going to die for me, man.
Right.
Do that. Don't tell me all of this. Because, listen, whenever someone has to tell you they're going to die for you, that's just them covering up that they won't die for you. Peter done the same thing with Christ, man. Said to him, look, if I have to die with you, I'll die with you. And when it came down to it, he didn't die with him, man.
Right.
Listen, man. The way you show someone that you love them and you're down for them is what? By your actions. By your actions, man. Listen, I don't want none of us to die. What I want us to do though, I want us to teach classes. I want us to go to camp and do all of these kind of things. I want us to raise up more brothers, more sisters. That's what I want us to do, man. There's more to this work than people think. Obviously, all of the little lip service, that can be left out. What the Lord wants is men of actions, man. The Lord wants men that carry out actions and not all of this lip service. Read on.
Got another one, come on. But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers.
And he did what?
He sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers, and burned up their city.
Listen, man. You harm us, the Lord's going to be rough with you and harm you, man. These people think they can come up to the brothers at camp. Nah, man, listen. You put a hand on them, I guarantee you the Lord's going to kill you, man.
Right.
It might not be straight away, but the Lord will kill you, your kids, their kids. Listen, man. Your whole family line will be wiped out. You put your hand on any of these, man. Read on.
Another one, come. Then saith he to his servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as
the men that you thought would come in, they didn't come in. So now it's saying, go to the highways and byways, and that's where we go. So you Christian pastors and stuff, they don't want to listen. So what do we do? What do we do? We go to the men who nobody else wants. We go to the men and the women who everybody else looks down upon, who everybody else hates. We go to those people. We invite those people to the wedding. We go to the drug addicts, man, and we say to them, listen, you're on drugs, don't worry. You come in here, this will change your life, man. You come in here, you'll change your life and your children's life. You come in here, you can have a fresh start, man. Go ahead.
bid to the marriage.
Yeah, what verse you at?
9.
Yeah,
Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage.
And many as you find, bid them to the marriage, man. Go ahead.
Can't. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good. And the wedding was furnished with guests.
So they went out and started breaking it down to everyone. They found both bad and good. They found both bad and good, man. And that's what we do. We go out and we find bad and good, man. And we bid them to this wedding. We bid them to this wedding. Go ahead.
Can't. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. And he saw a man that had not on a wedding garment. And he saith unto him, Friend, how comest thou in?
So what does that mean? There was a man in there without a wedding garment. What does that mean?
He wasn't invited. He shouldn't have been there. He wasn't an Israelite.
No, I don't mean that. What does it mean that this man, because this man was in the wedding, this man was invited to the wedding, but he didn't have on the wedding garment?
He wasn't as everybody else. He wasn't the same mindset and prepared as everybody else was.
Meaning, today, what you would say today is basically,
You won't read the Bible.
basically, yeah, this man with the wedding garment, what you would say is, this man was in the school but weren't really in the school. You get what I mean? So what you would say is, this man is in the truth but is not in the truth, if you get what I mean.
Just weren't applying himself.
There you go, that way. He's not applying himself, so he's in the wedding. So listen, man. The truth ain't what you do in front of us. The truth is what you do when nobody's watching, man.
Right.
The truth is when everybody's gone home, are you going to turn the left and pick up that prostitute that's on the quiet dark road? The truth is, that's what the truth is, man. The truth is more than just only, yeah, like our album said, he wasn't one West crept in unaware. Yeah, basically, yeah, that's it, man. Give my hand, man. That's what it is. He wasn't one West, man. So what you will see is, this man was in there without a wedding garment. And read that one more time, Ariel.
Gone.
So being in the truth is more than just being in this building, man. You have to apply it. You have to apply it and live it. You have to live it, or what? This man right here, without the wedding garment, is you. If you don't apply it, the man with no wedding garment is you.
That's right.
The man without the correct raiment is you. We're going to get into the precepts on this garment in a second. Read that one more time, Ariel.
Gone. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw that a man which had not on a wedding garment.
Who's the king? Christ, man. Christ is going to return. He's going to return. And he's going to know who's got on their wedding garment and who don't, man. He's going to know whose garments is clean and whose garments ain't. He's going to know who's changed their life and who hasn't. And the people who hasn't changed their life is going to look at them. What are you doing here, man?
Right.
What are you doing here? Like I said, when you go home, we don't know what you do. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But the Most High Christ sees everything what you do, what you do when nobody's around, man. How you live, what you do. Go ahead.
Gone. And he saith unto him, friend, how camest thou hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless.
And it was what?
And he was speechless.
And it was what?
And he was speechless.
Listen, man. All the things you do behind closed doors, you're going to be thinking, damn, he knows. Listen, you're going to be thinking, but hold on. I'm around everybody else, so I'm going to get in. Nah, man. Nah, man. Go ahead. What guys here?
4:13.
Yeah, go ahead.
Gone. Then said the king to his servants, bind him hand and foot, and take him away and cast him into outer
It
darkness.
says, take him away, bind him hand and foot. Meaning what? You might be in here. If you ain't doing the right things, it's a matter of time before you're not going to be in here, man.
Right.
It's a matter of time. Christ said there was a man in there without a wedding garment. Give me drop that, give me Revelation chapter 19 and verse 7.
This is Revelation chapter 19 and verse 7. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him for the marriage.
So this is talking about the same thing. It says, let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him for the marriage. This is the same marriage that was reading about in Matthew, the 22nd chapter. Go ahead.
Of the Lamb is come, and his wife have made herself ready.
And his wife have made herself ready. So it calls Christ the husbandman. Why? Because he takes care of what? The bride, man. His bride is what? The Israelites. And not in some gay way either, man. Not in some gay way either.
Right.
You see, like how you call your woman or whatever. It's like that, man. That's what it is. Why? Because the way how a man loves a woman, there's nothing else that compares. So that's why that's why it says that, like, his wife, and it said the wife did what? Verse 7. Go ahead.
And his wife have made herself ready.
And his wife have made herself ready. And how does the wife make herself ready? By learning these laws, statutes, and commandments, man.
Right.
Makes herself ready by learning these laws, statutes, and commandments, doing everything that needs to be done.
Right.
Coming to class, learning, studying, or everything that is required, man. Makes herself ready that way. Why? Because she knows one day. It's like when a woman's about to get married, what does she do? She makes herself ready for her husband, man. Does her makeup, dress, everything, man. You make yourself ready to enter this kingdom by what? Cleaning yourself up, keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, behaving accordingly. You make yourself ready. Now, if you're in here and you ain't making yourself ready, guess what? You're gonna be that man without a wedding garment.
Right.
You're gonna be that man who's not supposed to be in there. You're gonna be that man who Christ is gonna say, how did you get in here? Listen, man, you don't want to be that man. You better make yourself ready. And the brothers and sisters that we're reading about in Revelations, they did what? Make themselves ready. You want to be amongst those brothers and sisters? Go ahead.
And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen.
And should be what?
Arrayed in fine linen.
And the people that keep the commandments of God, it's like they're arrayed in fine linen. Now, this fine linen is not literal. Go ahead.
Clean and white.
What?
Clean and white.
Listen, man. Clean and white represents purity. That's why GOCC, when really, they don't represent purity.
Right. Right.
They physically wear the white. And they got white men all in their camp.
No, that's right.
It makes no sense. They read this and think, oh, well, white represents purity. This is what they say. They say UPK wear black because black means dark and evil and all of this nonsense. More righteous than you, man.
Right, right.
We had a white man outside this building yesterday on his knees reading a letter of apology, man.
That's right.
Reading the letter of apology.
Right.
If that was you that would have had him in there on the top table. You would have had him in there on the top table in the meat tree, man. You're gonna put him in the meat tree in there. In here. You're gonna be teaching today. If it was them, we'll be sitting right here teaching today. I'm telling you, in here, we don't allow that nonsense, man.
Right.
And people don't like us. Why? Because we don't bend them, we don't fold, man. Read on quarters of.
For the fine linen is the righteousness.
For the what?
For the fine linen is the righteousness.
There you go, man. These men putting on all white, thinking that makes them righteous. What did it say the fine linen is?
For the fine linen is the righteousness.
It's telling you what the fine linen is, man. The fine linen is the righteousness. Whereas after we go to whereas you go to Isaiah 1 and 18, read that, but we'll go there after. Go ahead.
Of saints.
It is the righteousness of the saints, man. Meaning, you clean yourself up. When the Lord looks down on you, you see like when helicopters look down on criminals and you see them highlighted in all these different colors. Yeah. If the Lord's looking down on you now, you're a sinner. That's what the Lord's seeing, man. That's what the Lord's seeing. You're trying to run and hide. Listen, criminals do what they do is they run and hide against normal people in society when they're running from the helicopter, and the helicopter knows exactly who they are, man. You trying to hide amongst us while being unrighteous, the Lord knows exactly who you are. Right. You're going to be in them bright fluorescent colors, man. Because the linen of the saints is righteousness. Read that one more time.
For the fine linen is the righteousness of saints.
And white garments representing righteousness.
Right.
And in that wedding, Christ is going to come and see us in our white garments, man.
That's right.
I pray all of us have on them white garments, man.
Right.
Every last one of us, you can have on that white garment too if you want to. It's up to you. It's based on the choices you make, man. It's based on decisions you make. Everything in life, you have a choice. Don't give me none of that garbage, that predestination garbage that people believe. Oh, my life was written. That's a Muslim nonsense.
Right.
Oh, he died that day because it was written for him to die that day. He died that day, why? Because you was doing something which goes against the Lord, and the Lord said to the angels, go get him, man.
Right, right.
Listen, you're the author of your own book. That's what most people fail to realize. You're the author of your own book. You wake up every day and you have a decision, man. You have a decision whether you want to come to class or not. You have a decision whether you want to smoke weed or not. You have a decision. Go ahead.
It's like the other one. So is it fair to say and assume that if you're in the truth and you're in the ISUPK and you're still alive to this day, you're doing something right.
That you did something right.
You're doing something right.
Sorry, say that again.
From what you're saying, from your breakdown, if you're alive today and you're in the UPK and you're in this truth, you're doing something right.
Basically, yeah. But just to be alive and your punishment ain't come yet, that don't mean it's not gonna come.
Right.
So sometimes you could think, well, I'm alive, so I must be doing something right because I'm not dead yet. But the Lord might be like, you know what? I got this man's punishment reserved for him. Let me just bring it unawares. Go ahead.
So we can't be complacent, everyone.
No, you never want to be complacent. Because once you get complacent, you start to be how the IUIC was.
Right.
Who the hell is Trayvon Martin? You start saying those things. Whereas you meant to have mercy on your brothers. Why? Because you need to understand that the Lord had mercy on you. So you don't want to look, once you get complacent, you start to look down on you people. You start to look down on them and be like, you know what? They're going to hell. You start coming out with this nonsense, the 2/3. Like, that's not UPK to be saying the 2/3 in here. Because when Moses had the choice, when Moses could have had all Israel killed, when the Lord said that I'm going to wipe out this whole nation and I'm going to make a lineage of you, Moses, what did Moses say? Moses said, Lord, don't do that, man. Moses said, Lord, these is your people, don't destroy them. Moses prayed for the Lord to spare them, and the Lord spared them. So we even prayed the Lord spares the 2/3, man. Because we don't want them to die, but what we do want them to do is be obedient. So we ain't one of those people who's going to go around and say, oh, here's the 2/3. Because we don't know. We don't know who is. We don't know what decision we're going to make tomorrow. So once you get complacent, you start to feel like you're above the law and you can do whatever you want and whenever you want. So you don't want to get high-minded and whatnot. So you never want to get complacent and feel like, well, I'm here, I can kick back. You always want to live your life like you owe the Lord.
Right.
You always want to live your life like, I can't slow down because I owe the Lord something. So you want to live your life like that, because once you get complacent, work stops getting done, things stop getting complete, and then you be like the man that didn't multiply his penny, because you feel like, well, I've got it and I'm just going to hide it and I don't need to do nothing else. Go ahead, Quarters, where was he? You look like you got the itis, you know.
I'm ready for my bed.
You got the itis.
And he saith unto me, right, Salakia, verse 8, and to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints.
And listen, man, that linen is the righteousness of the saints. Give me one more. No. Give me Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 18, actually.
Isaiah chapter 1, is it verse 18? 1 and verse 18.
No, don't mention, he's on.
Come now and let us reason together, saith the Lord.
The Lord said, come now and let us reason together. Go ahead.
Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow.
Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Meaning what? The Lord said, let us reason together. And if we change our life, though our sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. So this is another righteousness scripture. Now, if you don't reason with the Lord and change your life, if you don't change your life, guess what's going to happen? Your sins ain't going to be as white as snow. Yours is going to be as crimson. And that's how the Lord's going to identify you in that wedding. And like, what are you doing in here? You ain't supposed to be in here because you ain't righteous enough. Yeah, go ahead.
Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. If ye be willing and obedient, ye shall eat the good of the land. But if ye refuse and rebel, ye shall be devoured with the sword.
And if you refuse and rebel, you're going to get dragged out of that wedding and devoured with the sword. You're going to be kicked out of this school. And outside of here is what? It's death and destruction, man.
Right.
Outside of here is death, destruction, and madness. No word of a lie, listen, man. You see people leave the truth, they're never the same, man. Right? Because they start to lose their mind. This is where you need to be. Understand this, when you leave the truth, you know what you're doing is wrong. And then you start turning to drugs to try and hide everything. Listen, man. You start turning to drugs to try and clear your mind. Drugs is the wrong way to go. And you should never leave the truth. You should get counsel, man. You should get counsel and counsel and counsel. That's what you're supposed to do, man. Go ahead.
For the mouth of the Lord have spoken it.
For the mouth of the Lord have spoken it. Meaning what the Lord says, that's exactly what's going to happen. Give me Revelation chapter 3 and verse 4.
Revelation chapter 3 and verse 4. Remember therefore, Salakia, thou hast a few names, even in Sardis, which have not defiled their garments, and they shall walk with me in white.
And they shall walk.
And they shall walk with me in white.
Another garment scripture, go ahead.
For they are worthy.
Solid ain't too bad, you know. So I can go ahead.
He that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment.
There you go. How do you get that white raiment? Where you get that from?
Should offer that to him.
No, you can have it. No, you can have it. But where you find that? So where did you find that?
He didn't offer that to the highest rank.
Or where you find it, or where did you find it?
Huh? I wouldn't search it.
You definitely search for that because I didn't see that. Is it hard though?
No, it's chocolate ghetto.
Nah,
Does anybody want a piece?
No. So,
I think I'm
alright.
I think I'm cooking after this or something.
Yeah.
No, this tastes good though.
I need to find something sweet. That's it. You know you need something sweet, a waffle or something.
It could be a space, you know what I'm saying?
We're gonna get our fat boy on today. That's what it's called. It's called getting the fat boy on.
It's crazy.
I'm gonna be coming like notorious.
That's it. We're gonna be busting out the garment.
This is crazy.
We're gonna bust out the girdle and the garment. You're gonna be standing there. You're gonna hear the Velcro just unraveling itself. Tanya, you're gonna hear that Velcro just undo itself. Listen, man. Read on cut as well. What verse you at?
Verse 5.
So what chapter was you in?
Verse chapter 3.
So I can never get there with this. Actually, go ahead, you can read it.
3 and verse 5. He that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white.
It says he that, and listen, that's how you get that garment, man. That's how you be invited and accepted into that wedding. By doing what? He that overcometh, you have to overcome what? The trials that is set for you, man. These things which is holding you back, these things which is trying to keep you from the Lord, you have to overcome these things. Once you overcome these things, once you go through that fire, man, you then have that garment, that white garment. That's how you get it. Don't think you just come into school and that's the end. You have to overcome. You see them trials, that smoking, or all them things which is stopping you from doing the truth.
Right.
You have to overcome it, man. All them things which is causing you to offend, you have to overcome it. You have to rehearse righteous acts. That's what you have to do. You have to rehearse righteous acts. And then that's how you overcome, man. Go ahead.
He that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment.
There you go. He that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment. Go ahead.
And I will not blot out his name out of the book of life.
And he won't what?
I will not blot out his name out of the book of life.
And the Lord has a book, man. The Lord has a book. And if you disobey the Lord, your name is blotted out of that book. Your name will have a cross through it in that book, man. The Lord has a guest list. And you have to do the right things to be on the guest list, man. If you ain't doing the right things, you ain't going to be on the Lord's guest list. And you're going to be blotted out. And when they're looking for your name on that register and it's not there, you're going to be cast into outer darkness like we read in the last chapter. You're going to be cast out into outer darkness. What? Any more in that part? Is that about it?
It could go on still.
Hold on, what verse you at?
Verse 5.
Revelation 3 and verse 5.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But I will confess his name before my Father and before.
Actually, now you can drop that. Give me Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 5. Oh, let me get to it.
This Bible's mashed up together.
You never finished all that already. Did he?
That was quick.
You finished it?
It's E and J in there.
Ephesians.
All right, give me Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 5.
Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 5. Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters.
So now, this is key. It says, now in slavery, they used to use this and say, be obedient to your slave master. This ain't talking about that. Go ahead.
That are your
This
masters.
is talking about the brothers that outrank you in the truth. So it says, be obedient to them, meaning what? If a brother that outranks you says, do this, you're supposed to do it. If a brother that outranks you says, do that, you're supposed to do that. That's what's supposed. Go ahead.
According
What's it?
according to the
What's it? Go ahead. Ariel.
What if he's abusing his rank,
What?
taking the piss?
What if he's abusing his rank? Then if he's abusing his rank, then what you would do is you would just speak to the brother and say, Salaki, sir, I don't feel like what you told me to do was fair and blah, 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 blah. Because you can't speak to a brother that outranks you because he's your brother at the end of the day. And if he is abusing his rank, guess what? If he refuses to hear what you say, you can't go to council with a man that outranks you, and then everything will be established in the council. But when we read on in this chapter, it lets you know that the men over you can't abuse you. Because the men over you, we all have one master. So because they're your master, they can't abuse you because they have a master who they have to answer to. So they shouldn't abuse their power. So yeah. So if that was to happen, you could speak to the brother one-on-one and say, you know what? I feel like obviously you wouldn't want to go up to him and swear your head off at him and do it in an out of order way. You want to do it in a respectful way. So like you said, I feel, certain things you make me do is you're abusing your power. Well, you don't want to say it like that, but you want to word it in a professional way. And then he might say, Salaki, you know what? I apologize. Obviously, it goes no further. If he goes, nah, I don't hear you, nothing more needs to be said. Just cancel. You just contact your camp leader or whatever, or you just say to him, okay, then I want to take this to council. And then you've got the right to have a council. Because obviously, in here, we ain't here to abuse one another.
Right.
So we're here to love one another. I mean, if you abuse a man, why the hell would he want to put his life on the line for you at camp? He might be wanting someone to beat you up at camp because you're abusing your power all day long.
That's right.
He might want someone to beat you up at camp. So in here, we have brotherhood and we love one another. We don't abuse. Like in here, we ain't like how these devils are. We ain't like how they are on the job. On the job, they abuse their power. On the job, the manager speaks to you like garbage and you can't do nothing about it. In here, brothers is approachable and you can speak to them. If a man's abusing his power, you just go to a council and then maybe in the council, they'll be like, you're abusing your power. Don't deal with the brothers like that. They'll be like, all right, you're abusing your power. Don't deal with your men like that. Or they might be like to you, you're being sensitive. It's not abusing his power. He told you to take out the rubbish. What's wrong with that? Like if a brother that outranks you says, can you help me do this? Can you do that? That's not really him abusing his power. Abusing his power would be more like, let me see, just certain things. But obviously, in here, nobody abuses their power. In here, what you'll find is everyone brotherly, loves one another, takes care of one another. So yeah, no power is abused in here. Listen, man, Captain Parasha wouldn't allow it, man.
Right.
He wouldn't allow no one to abuse their power, man. I'm telling you. Captain Parash is the most humblest person I've met in my life.
Right.
If Captain Parash wasn't the camp leader, I'll be abusing my person. I'll be abusing my man. Go ahead.
With fear and trembling.
And listen, man. The man that ruled, the man that outranks you. When dealing with him, you're supposed to deal with him like you're dealing with the Lord, with fear and trembling. Why? Because this man does the service of the Lord. Like this man, what this man is bringing you is basically orders from God, man. He ain't bringing you his own orders. He ain't bringing you his own orders. He's bringing you orders, what? To enhance the work of the Lord. Now, he ain't bringing, now, a man abusing his power would be like me saying, Ariella, I've just brought some wardrobes at home. But like me saying, Ariella, I got some wardrobes at home, I brought them. What you're going to do is tomorrow, you're going to come and put them up. That'll be me abusing my power. I can't really do that. This is my personal stuff. Obviously, me saying, Ariella, you're going to come and put them up. That'll be me abusing my power.
Ariella, cool vacuum.
That's it. Like me saying, Ariella, go vacuum my car.
Why are you using my name?
Because you asked it. You get me?
Everyone else is
It's like me saying, Ariella, go vacuum my car. No.
still calling my name.
Get me? It's like me doing that. That'd be me abusing my power. Whereas I could be like, Ariella, quarters off. So lucky, I just got some wardrobes. Can you help me put them up? Whenever you're free. That's more how brothers should do it. Can you help me whenever you're free? So yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. But I read on.
With fear and trembling, in singleness.
With fear and hold on, let me get there with your area. With fear and trembling, go ahead.
In singleness of your heart.
Go ahead.
As unto Christ.
And you're meant to obey that man's order, like is Christ giving you an order, man? Because what most people need to realize is, when Moses was on the scene, you didn't deal with Moses. You dealt with the men under Moses. Like you can't be like, oh, I'm gonna skip these men and go direct to Moses. The truth doesn't work like that. There's a man over you, and there's a man over him, and there's a man over him. Just think about it. Without the internet, just think about it. Without technology, we probably wouldn't know what the generals look like.
Right.
All we would know is we get the order and we follow that order. Just think in the time of Moses, there's no Facebook so people can go on his page and inbox him. There's no WhatsApp so you can phone his phone and keep phoning him. There's none of that. Back in the days, it was just the man over you, you deal with him, he deals with the man over him, he deals with the man over him. You wouldn't even know what Moses looks like. You wouldn't even know. Go ahead.
Not with eye service.
Not with what?
Not with eye service.
So how are we supposed to operate in here is not with eye service, man. What does that mean?
Meaning don't just do something to make yourself look or something, do it sincerely.
See, the eye service is more like you're only doing stuff because you're being watched.
Yeah.
So this is more like being in the truth at all the time, not with eye service, doing things because you're being watched,
Right.
and you know someone's watching you, or trying to impress someone when really you ain't about this. Whereas really, like say for instance, if there's a brother you wanted to impress, you do everything in front of him. I do this, I do that, and you keep doing it. And then when he's gone, you're not doing none of that. Some people do things with eye service. The Bible's saying not to do that. Go ahead.
But as the servants of Christ.
Actually, read from verse 6.
Not with eye service.
Not with eye service, meaning you're only doing it because somebody's watching you, because somebody's overseeing you do something, and you want to impress them. You're doing it with eye service. You want to be seen by man. The Bible's saying, like, don't do that. Go ahead.
As men pleasers.
But as men pleasers, meaning you're doing this to please men. Go ahead.
But as the servants of Christ.
But as the what?
As the servants
as the servants of Christ, meaning don't be men pleasers, man. Like you can't be saying, you know what? I only take orders from him, but I don't take orders from him. I only obey him, but I don't obey him. It don't work like that. A man that's ranked over you, you're supposed to listen to his orders, man. You can't be like, I'm only going to listen to this man, but I'm not going to listen to this one. If they both outrank you, you need to listen to both. You don't want to be doing things with eye service as men pleasers. The reason you only obey this man and not this man is because you're a man pleaser.
Right.
That's why you obey this man and not this one, because you're a man pleaser and you just want to please men. You're not doing this to please Christ, because if you was, you would obey all the brothers over you, Because guess what? They all have the same master. We all have the same masters. The orders that this brother's giving you, it's not, he ain't giving you these orders because, you know, he wants to be horrible to you. He's giving you these orders, why? Because it's something to do with the truth. The brother that you do, whose orders you do follow, he's giving you these orders because it's something to do with the truth.
Right.
This man ain't giving you orders because it's his personal orders. Nah, man. But you don't want to obey him, why? Because you're a man pleaser and you will obey somebody else but not him. Whereas you're meant to obey both of them. If they're outrank, you go ahead.
Doing the will of God from the heart.
Doing what?
Doing the will of God from the heart.
And you're meant to do the will of God from the heart, man. You're meant to do it, why? Not because someone tells you to do it, because it's the right thing to do. You're meant to do it because it's the right thing to do. Because you know you're trying to serve your master the best you can. When I say your master, I'm talking about Christ, and we all serve Christ in here. And there's men over next men. There's men, how it goes. Listen, there's a ranking system in here. Like no two men is the same rank. Their rank might be the same number, but there's a man who received that rank first.
Right.
So it's not the same. Go ahead.
With good will, giving service as to the Lord and not to men.
With good will, doing service as to the Lord and not to men. So you need to do what you're doing. It's to the Lord and not to men. Like when you're told to do something, they ain't telling you to do it because they want to be horrible. They're telling you to do it. Why? Because it's to the Lord, man, and it's not to men. Drop that. Give me Mark chapter 7 verse 6. Well, those the planting chick ones.
Mark chapter 7 and verse 6. He answered and said unto them, well hath Isaiah prophesied of you hypocrites.
So this is talking about Isaiah. Go ahead.
As it is written, this people honoreth me with their lips.
And now Christ is checking them, saying, it's true what Isaiah prophesied about you, like, man. You honor me with your lips, but then your heart is far from me. Like, lip service ain't the way to go, man. Lip service ain't the way to go. Listen, man. You can't, in here, we love one another. We don't just say it to each other. Our actions show we love one another, man. If you're just coming with lip service, that's not doing nothing, man.
Right.
The thing is this, you see with brotherhood. Brotherhood don't just work when it's in your favor. Most people think brotherhood works only when it's in their favor. You know what brotherhood is? You having to come at your house at 2 o'clock in the morning, man, because a brother needs something. You having to go into your pocket and give a brother some money because why? He ain't got no money or whatever.
Right.
Brotherhood is you loving your brothers and going out of your way. That's what brotherhood is, man.
That's right.
Brotherhood is doing all of those kinds of things. Brotherhood is what? You doing things that you probably don't even want to do.
Right.
Who wants to come out of their house at 2, 3 in the morning, man? That's what brotherhood is, making sure your brother's got a place to stay, making sure these sisters is okay. That's brotherhood. It ain't just brotherhood when you want brotherhood to work for you. Brotherhood ain't just partying and drinking all day. That's not brotherhood, man. Brotherhood ain't just a party and a drink all day, man. Brotherhood is what? A brother saying, I can't do class tomorrow, can you fill in for me?
Right.
That's brotherhood, man. Brotherhood is those kind of things. Brotherhood is saying, I need this, can you help me out with this? That's what brotherhood is, man. Brotherhood ain't just drinking and partying, because if brotherhood was just drinking and partying, then the Shubin over there would be the number one place of brotherhood on the face of the earth.
That's right.
The Shubin over the road would be the number one place of brotherhood on the face of the earth, man. If it was just about drinking and partying, listen, man. Brotherhood is loving your brothers and taking care of one another and doing things for brothers, man. Brotherhood shouldn't just work one-sided. It shouldn't just work, okay, when I need something, everyone must do something for me. But when it's my turn to help everybody else, I don't help nobody. That's not brotherhood, man.
Right.
Everybody's brotherly to you, but you're not brotherly to nobody, man. It shouldn't be like that. Brotherhood works both ways, not just one side, man. Where was we cut as well?
Verse 7.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's like a 7 and verse.
Mark 7 and probably verse 7, I believe.
Verse 6.
You go ahead.
Well, he answered and said unto them, Well have Isaiah prophesied of you hypocrites, as it is written, this people honoreth me with their lips.
So all this honor with your lips, nah man, honor with your actions, man.
Right.
Christ said, don't love me with your lips. What Christ said, if you love me, keep my commandments. Them commandments is actions, man.
Right.
Not eating pork is an action. Not being a homosexual is an action, man. It is an action. Christ said, if you love me, keep my commandments. He didn't say, just say you love me. Because that's what Christians do all day long. They say they love Christ all day long. And based by their actions, it's the opposite. The reason why they have to talk about loving Jesus in every song and taking to the King is because deep down, something inside them, they know they don't love Christ deep down, man.
Right.
But they have to say it to convince everybody that they do. Usually, if someone has to keep saying something and telling you, often it's because it's not true, man. If you listen, you should be able to see things by people's actions. In here, we see that we love one another by the actions, man. We see we love one another in here by the actions. If brothers need help, we help them. Brothers need counsel, they get it, man. Brothers need anything, they can get it. We show we love one another in here by our actions. Whereas in the Christian church, you ask for help. There's no one there on the other side of the phone, man.
Right.
There's no one there on the other side of the phone. Because for them in church, they think brotherhood works one way, man. They think it works one way. They think it works in their favor. And when anybody else needs anything, like for instance, in church, what they do is, let's say one person's got money and one person don't, they will eat and watch their brother starve, man. Whereas in here, we ain't gonna do that. Either both of us is getting a full meal, or we're gonna half that meal that we have. We're gonna go half in that meal that we have, man. We're gonna cut the burger in half. We're gonna take that McDonald's cup. We're gonna get some measuring tape and find out what half of the cup is. Listen, we're gonna share that drink, man. We're gonna share the food and share the drink. I'm not gonna sit down and eat and watch everybody else starve. That's unbrotherly, man. And that's what they do in the Christian church. They're like, well, this is my money. They don't even offer. They're like, well, this is my money. In here, we ain't gonna watch no brother starve, man.
Right.
We help each other out in here, man. We come together, we help each other out, man. Listen, man. When we was in Florida, man, we was showing brotherhood. Brothers are going for breakfast. Where was it? Denny's. Was it Denny's every morning? Every morning, did we go there every morning? Getting them horrible. Remember the egg was horrible, man. Getting the horrible egg. The steak was good. Getting the horrible eggs. What's the one that you went to, Ariel? I remember me and Quazza, where you made us walk at least 10 miles to get. That's brotherhood, so we walked 10 miles to get to. What was it called again?
We went across the road.
How far was it?
That was far.
That was far.
7-Eleven.
I remember
7-Eleven.
it was past the 7-Eleven.
What?
It was past the 7-Eleven.
Nah, we don't know about that one.
You guys are lazy.
Listen, it was opposite the Waffle House. That's how it was for. What was it called again? Was it IHOP? IHOP. Listen, we walked at least 6 miles there, 6 miles back, and you know it's far because remember the first night we got there. There you go. We don't even know that. The first night we got there.
You're lazy.
Now in that heat, I'm telling you, that heat was horrible. But the first night we got there, remember me and Shamgar was looking for food. I remember we had to take a break. We were on the way back, we had to sit on the bench for like 5-10 minutes. Listen, I'm telling you, that heat was something else. I wonder where the Passover is going to be this year.
Florida heat.
That Florida heat was something else. Where was we quite as well?
Verse 6.
That's brotherhood right there, walking that 6 miles there, 6 miles back in the heat. Go ahead.
But their heart is far from me.
And like honor with their lips, but their heart is far from it, man. Meaning, it's just lip service. Their mind is far from Christ. So people give lip service all day long, but really, is their mind on this thing? Is this thing their focus? People give lip service all day. I'm down. But then when it comes to everything else,
Right.
they don't show no way, shape, or form that they're down. Listen, man. One time Christ was speaking to his men. Hold on, give me a. This is when his man was young in the truth. Give me Matthew chapter 26 and verse 33. Listen, man, this is the time when Peter was young in the truth. He tried to give Christ some lip service. Christ weren't having it, man. Go ahead.
Matthew chapter 26 and verse 33. Peter answered and said unto him, though all men shall be offended because of thee.
So this is right before when Christ was about to die, right before he died. And then Peter's letting him know, though everybody else is offended in you, same like everybody else is offended by us, man. People's offended by us. We get big kisses. They're offended by what we say. The Arabs don't like what's being said in the city centre, to where they're coming up saying, suck you, mum. How childish do you have to be to say that? How childish do you have to be to say that? Imagine that. You come before the priest of God, and instead of you trying to defend your religion by pulling out history books or whatever you think, you tell us our Bible's tampered with all day. Before you pull out your research, you come in front of the priest of God and you say, suck you, mum. I mean, how childish do you have to be? That's their only comeback. Suck you, mum. Listen, man. I'm telling you, a brother said, where in London do you preach? Please, I want to listen. Brixton High Street.
Opposite the KFC.
Opposite the KFC. I believe they changed the name to, what is it, Kentucky now? Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'm sorry they changed the name of it. It's by the Fugazi KFC. So okay. We're outside the Fugazi KFC, opposite the opposite the Ritz building.
Right.
So it's right on the corner of the high street. Just contact the school for more info. Hold on, let me see if I can pull up the banner with the phone number on here.
If you want smoke, you can get it.
There you go. So this is the number 079 353 92139. So that is the number for the school. So just message that number or phone it and ask them, can you have the postcode for where we hold camp in London? And then the brother will get back to you and give you that information. And then you can come on out, you can listen and whatnot. You can ask you questions and all of those kind of things. So that's where we at, Brixton High Street. Is it Brixton Camp this Saturday?
Should be, yeah.
I believe it might be Brixton Camp this Saturday, but you can always phone the number and text the number and then find out from the brothers if that's where they're going to be this week. So just text the school number. Let me put it up one more time. Hold on. Yeah, the number's still up. Yeah, you can put the number up, you can phone it and so forth. Actually, I'll just leave the number up. But go ahead, Kotzer.
Peter answered and said unto him, though all men shall be offended because of thee, yet will I never be offended.
So Peter said, though all men is offended because of you, yet will I never be offended. So Peter was a young brother in the truth here. Christ is letting them know, listen, the time's coming when I'm not going to be here no more. I'm going to be delivered up. I'm going to be delivered up. Why? Because everybody's offended by me. Everybody wants to kill me. Why? Because they don't like this doctrine which is from my Father. And Christ didn't say, you know what? Because nobody don't like me, I'm going to change the doctrine. He didn't say that, man.
Right.
He stuck with what he was taught till death, man. And in here, we need to stick with what we've been taught till death.
That's right.
What we've been taught in here, we need to hold on to this until we die, man. We can't be like, oh, well, nobody else don't like it, so we need to change it. We can't be like, you know what? Interracial marriage is popular, so I think we should teach it because more people come to school if we teach it. We would rather have nobody in the school than teach a lie, man. We would rather have nobody in the school than teach a lie. Listen, man, we're going to teach what the Lord instructed us to teach. And Christ done the same thing, and he died teaching what we teach until this day, man. If he changed the doctrine, guess what would have happened? We wouldn't have nothing pure to teach today.
Right.
All these fake Israelites that left the truth, they're teaching something completely different, man. They're teaching something watered down. They've got Hamites all up in there, man. Hamites all up in there. Now, at their feast days, they're all dancing to Afro beats. I need Shayo and Igbo. What's it going? What's that nonsense go? Shayo and Igbo or whatever. I need Shayo and Igbo. Now they've got people that look like Burna Boy all up in their school, man. Speaking with the accent, jollof rice. Listen, man, you'll never ever see jollof rice in here, man.
Right.
It's not unlawful to see jollof rice, but in this building, ain't no jollof rice coming in here, man.
That's right.
If you try and bring jollof rice in here on a feast day, you're going out with your feet. I'm gonna say, how did you get here without a garment? I'm gonna say, how did you get here without a garment? And I'm gonna say to the security, bind him hand and feet and throw him out into outer darkness. You and your jollof rice is going out into outer darkness, man. We ain't having that in here.
Right.
We're not having no jollof rice. None of what's the one that grab it and all aggressively? No fufu. None of that is. Listen, man. We ain't having that in here, man.
Right.
We ain't having none of that in here. Read on.
Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, that this night before the cock crow.
So now, Peter said to Christ, listen, man, don't everybody else is offended in you. I'll never be offended in you. And then Christ let him know, look, man, this is what Christ is going to say to him. Go ahead.
Thou shalt deny me thrice.
Thou shalt what?
Thou shalt deny me thrice.
Christ was with the lip service, man. Christ said, listen, before the cock crows, you're going to deny me 3 times.
Right.
God is using So sorry. It's like before it said before the cock crows, you're going to deny me thrice. But what happened? Peter did deny Christ, but what happened after that? Peter became on fire for the truth, man. Peter realized his error and changed, man. Peter became what? On fire for the truth. That's what Peter did. He became on fire for the truth and never done it again, man. And how did most of Christ's men die? There was all most of them was martyred, man. Most of them were killed. Obviously, there's books outside the Bible that tells you how they were killed, but I wouldn't teach it because that's outside the Bible. But obviously, there's history where it will tell you how some of them was killed with spears and upside down and so forth. But like I said, it doesn't tell you that in the Bible, but we just know that most of Christ's men were killed. Why? For teaching the truth. The same thing Christ died for, they died for. And also in here, we also willing to die for the same thing. Now, it's easy to say that, but would you actually die for this?
Right.
Would you actually die for this? Now, we know how can you convince us that you would actually die for this? By actually doing what you're supposed to do, man.
Right.
Class, camp, helping with the school, doing all of those kind of things. Listen, man. If nothing's being done, if nothing's being done, then I'm not convinced you're gonna die for this, man. I'm not convinced one bit. Like I said, it's all lip service until some actions is behind it, man. Lip service is nothing. What we need is actions. Actions is better than a million words. With actions, guess what? You don't even need to speak.
Right.
The actions will speak for itself. Go ahead. Where are you, Kozo?
35.
35. Go ahead. Read it on.
Peter said unto him, Though I should die with thee,
Peter said, "I'll die with thee." Go ahead.
yet will I not.
Listen, I hear this all the time. No, I'll die for this. I'll die for that. I'll die for this. I'll die for that. Listen, man. In here, listen. If it comes to us dying, we're going to die, man.
Right.
But while we're living, teach some classes, man.
Right.
While we're living, do what needs to be done, man. While we're living, why don't we do what needs to be done? And then when it comes time for us to die, we'll die together. After we've built up the school and there's meant to continue this,
Right.
there's no point us dying and there's nobody else to continue it. If it's, listen, we need, like what Christ did, before Christ left, Christ raised up men. And once Christ was off the scene, those men that continued it. While Peter was here, he raised up men. Once he left, those people to continue it. And that's what we're doing, man. Raising up men, man. So more people can be bidden to that marriage. Hold on, what verse you got, Kozo?
Verse 35.
Is there any more in verse 35? Or Actually, jump to verse 69.
Verse 69. Now Peter sat without a palace.
So now this is the part, go ahead.
Now Peter sat without in the palace, and a damsel came unto him, saying, Thou also wast with Jesus of Galilee.
So now a woman come and said, yo, I'm sure you was with him. Women been trying to get niggas killed from back then, man. Listen, man. She came up to him and said, I'm sure you was with him. She said, I'm sure you was with him. My brother said, can I get a guidance on Judas? Would the Lord have forgiven him? What do the scriptures say? The scriptures say that give me that scripture where give me that scripture where, hold on, what's the one I'm on about where it says it was better for him to have hung a mill around his neck. Remember when Christ said that? Give me that one. You know what I'm talking about, right?
The little ones.
And it goes, for the man who shall betray the Son of God, it was better for a mill to be hung around his neck and him thrown in the ocean. You know what I'm about it, already? See if you can find it.
Matthew.
Yeah, go ahead, see if you can find it.
Into the Gabar show.
Yeah, give me that one.
Yeah, this book ain't got no red writing.
Hold on, let me find it. Yeah, you found the puzzle. Oh no.
No.
Hold on.
Repeat the statement, other one.
Give me the one where it goes, it was better for this man to have had a mill hung around his neck. And then after that, I need that one. Then after that, I need the one where Judas hung himself as well. You found, and then Quatazar, you give me, you hold, Quatazar, you get me Matthew chapter 12 and verse 31.
To have a mill around his neck.
You know what I'm on about? Hold on one second, let me find it for you.
Matthew 12 and verse 30.
No, I don't read that one yet, just hold that one.
Is it Matthew 18 and 6?
What's it say?
But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it was better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depths of the sea.
Nah, you know what? Hold on. You know what? There's a scripture where it says, I believe it. It's not this one, but there's one where it says, he who betrays the son, he who betrays the Son of Man, it was better that it was never born. Hold on, it was that one. That it might be that one. Hold on. I'm sure it's that one. Let me see if I can find it. Give me Matthew 26 and verse 24. Is that the one you got? Yeah, go ahead. Give me Matthew 26 and verse 24. But hold that one where you're at as well. So give me Matthew 26 and 24. And Ariella, you give me the one when Judas hung himself.
Okay, yeah, that's Matthew 27 and 3.
Alright, no, sir. Okay, I see you get good precepts. You remember it in your head like that. Okay, I see you. Give me that one where Christ said that.
Matthew chapter 26 and verse 24. The Son of Man goeth as it is written of him.
So the Son of Man goeth as it is written of him. Go ahead.
But woe unto that man.
But destruction unto that man. Go ahead.
By whom the Son of Man is betrayed.
Go ahead.
It had been good for that man if he had not been born.
It had been better for that man if he had not been born. Why? Because that man got who? Christ killed, man. That man did what? Got an innocent man killed. And like today, all these murderers, some of them, it would have been better if some of them was never born, man. Because what? We could live if some of them was never born. So that's why Christ is saying that. Give me the next one when Judas hung himself.
The book of Matthew, chapter 20.
Now, very certain, instead of Judas begging for forgiveness and repentance and falling to his knees and saying, Lord, I've messed up, man. I've got a man killed. Forgive me. Judas didn't even try. This is what Judas did. Go ahead.
The book of Matthew, chapter 27, verse 3. Then Judas, which had betrayed him,
Go ahead.
when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself.
Go ahead.
Repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces of silver.
So now he tried to backtrack. He tried to backtrack. He tried to give them people back their money. But by then it was too late. They was like, nah. That's your money now. We ain't taking it back. Go ahead.
Repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces.
So he felt bad about what he done. He didn't repent to the Lord. He repented himself and tried to undo what he's just done. Go ahead.
and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, I have sinned in that I have betrayed the innocent blood.
And he said, I've sinned and I've betrayed the innocent blood. Go ahead.
And they said, what is that to us?
And they said, what is that to us? He's telling the wrong people, man. He's telling the wrong people. What he should have done is thought about this before he transgressed the law. But now he's transgressed the law. What should he have done after this? Beg the Lord for forgiveness, man. He should have cast off that money and said, you know what? I've messed up. I've got an innocent man killed. Lord, don't cast me away. Give me another chance. I'm going to make it right, man. I've got a brother killed, and guess what I'll do? I'm going to be the most perfect brother I could ever be now. Please give me another chance. That's what he could have done. He could have begged the Lord for forgiveness. Go ahead.
Another one gone. See thou to that.
Go ahead.
And he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed.
Go ahead.
And went and hanged himself.
And did what?
And went and hanged himself.
Now they prayed to God for forgiveness.
And went and hanged himself.
This man didn't ask for no forgiveness or nothing. This man went and hung himself. He went and killed himself, which is another sin, because you ain't supposed to kill yourself. Now, he should have begged the Lord for forgiveness. Who knows if the Lord would have forgave him? It's worth a shot, though. It's worth a chance. He could have held on to something and said, you know what? I'm the biggest mess up the world's ever seen. I'm the biggest mess up the world's ever seen. Let me ask the Lord for some forgiveness. Hopefully he grants it. Hopefully he grants it. Read the precept that you're holding, Potazar.
What do you want to know?
Matthew 12 and is it 31?
Matthew chapter 12 and verse 31. Wherefore I say unto you, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven.
All manner of what?
Sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men.
So it says, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men. Now it's going to let you know what sin is not forgiven unto men. Now, if you kill somebody, guess what? The Lord can forgive you, man. If you rob somebody, the Lord can forgive you. You might have a punishment. There might be a judgment, but the Lord might not kill you. He might spare you. Now, he might not forgive you. He might forgive you. He might spare you. That's up to the Lord. Read on.
But the blasphemy against the Holy Ghost shall not be forgiven.
But the blasphemy against the Spirit of the Lord, that can't be forgiven. So if you think you've sinned and you've messed up and you feel like you can't be forgiven, listen, man. The Lord said all manner of sin can be forgiven. But now that's not sins that you do presumptuously. It's not sins that you know is a sin and you go and do it. There could be some kind of repercussions and punishments and so forth. Who knows? The Lord could have mercy on you. He might not. That's up to the Lord. But what he should have done is beg the Lord for forgiveness, man. He should have begged the Lord for forgiveness. Say, Satan jumped on me. Please forgive me. I'll never do nothing like this again, man. Who knows? But what did he go and do? Done the cowardice move he could have ever done. Went and hung himself, man. Went and hung himself. Why? Because he felt bad about what he done. And what do people do today when they sin and feel bad? They turn to drugs. They turn to alcohol. When really you're supposed to turn to God, man. When you do something wrong or whatnot, you're supposed to turn to God and beg the Lord to forgive you, man. Beg the Lord to forgive you. Nobody does that nowadays. What do they do? Turn to drugs and alcohol. Judas turned to a tree and a rope and hung himself, man. He turned to a tree and a rope and hung himself. Whereas he should have begged the Lord for forgiveness. Maybe the Lord wouldn't have forgiven him, but it's worth a shot. It's worth him trying and praying and begging for this forgiveness. And just let me know if that answers your question. Hold on. And yeah, Judas definitely went the wrong way about it. While it is, he was mad because Christ checked him about the oils. He goes, this should be sold and given to the poor. What you got to remember is Judas was a thief, man. Judas was a thief, so he didn't care about the poor. And with Judas getting Christ killed, lets you know that what? One sin also leads to another sin. He coveted money. He stole money. And he then turned into basically a murderer, man. Because why? First he started off as a petty thief. Then that turned into him getting his brother murdered because he was mad about him checking him about perfume. So he was mad about all of those things, which lets you know once you break one law, you get comfortable breaking one law, and then it turns into breaking two laws. I mean, when you're a kid, you start off as a petty thief, and as you get older, being a petty thief then turns into armed robbery, And then armed robbery turns into, if you come down the stairs, I'm going to shoot you. All of those things. And then with that, that brings us to the end of the class. Press it up, and then like that, all right, you can call it. Go ahead.
Oh, give a hand to the teacher.
Check if they're on this side.
Okay,
No.
yeah, announcements. We are the ISUPK, started out 1 West Street, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for a new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shake themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, Numbers 18 and 21, Malachi 3 and 8 to 10, means 1/10 in the Hebrew, Mayasharah. 10% of every penny of increase the Lord gives you. Give to Treasury Department or teacher. Priest funds, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations, the 9th of October, Sunday, the Feast of Tabernacles. Reminder, to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pant, headband, scarf. And with that, we're going to give the teacher one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, I Mariam. I Mariam Shabbat. I Mariam. Barak. Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barakatah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barakatah.
Yad Yamata. Class dismissed.
Shalom Israel will be here tomorrow, 7 p.m. with Captain Parasha at Shalom Israel.